Hello, everyone. Welcome to enVision Together, going to our next level of best. I am very happy to welcome Donna Tashjian to you today. She has lots of wonderful information to share with us, and she has a great story too. And so we're going to get to know her a little bit personally and professionally. And she's going to share wonderful things that I'm sure is going to have you wanting to contact her following the show. So with that, Donna, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Pamela. It is a pleasure to be here today. I am the CEO and founder of Vibrant Living International. I'm a life mastery coach, and our passion is to stop identity theft. And I'm not talking about our credit cards, and to empower people, spirit, soul, and body to live vibrantly. So many times, things that happen to us, what I mean by identity theft is I lose my job, I'm a failure, all of those kind of things. And they create identities that are not necessarily true, and how that can stop us from living vibrantly. So that's just one example. I am a wife of 38 years, and I have 3 children and 7 grandkids.
Wow, wonderful. So I don't know, it just popped in my head, so I'm going to ask you, how is it different, the relationship with the grandkids versus the kids?
Uh, I think the biggest difference with grandchildren is you seem to you're not as hurried around.
Hmm.
You're older, you also understand how important relationships are, but somehow in our younger years we're rushing, it seems like, and they also, the kids have activities. So it's not only your own things, but them. And so that feeling of being hurried, you're not as much. Um, and and you're wiser, hopefully.
Yeah, I like that. Hopefully.
Hopefully, so that you can handle things a little bit differently. So that's my thoughts.
I'm so glad I asked you that. And it happens to be Mother's Day weekend.
It
So
is.
we got a few wise words in there on a different topic. But when you said 7 grandchildren, I said, oh, I don't know. It just popped in my head and I had to ask. But I love what you said. I can relate to what you said. In my younger years, I was certainly more in rush mode. And
Mhm.
as you also said, hopefully I'm a lot wiser now too. I think I am. But yeah, you give us a different kind of guidance to the young people in your family as you get older. You're trying to
Yeah.
pass those little nuggets that you've learned if they'll listen.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So, you shared with me previously that you grew up with a feeling of always not enough. What do you mean by
Mhm.
that? And also, please explain whether or not those feelings played a part in shaping who you are today.
Well, to the last question, of course. I
Yeah,
know,
but I want to hear you say
of
it.
course. When whatever we've gone through in our childhood and in our lifetime shapes who we are today.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it is a positive thing, and sometimes it is not. But
Mhm.
I think I would word it a little bit different after I've thought about the questions you were going to ask. Is
Mhm.
I need to prove my worth. I need to perform to be accepted.
Mhm.
Uh, is along the same line of maybe I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
And learning that, you know, have to feel like I need to get straight A's. And,
Mhm.
is anybody out there that gets upset when they don't? It's, or if anything doesn't go right, it's not that I just didn't get it. It's like it hits my identity as back to what I'm value and what I'm worth. And so growing up with the feeling that somehow I have to prove something that I'm good enough or whatever causes you to constantly be in that state of striving. There's never a place of relax.
I love your
Yes.
words. The word striving, it says so
Yes.
much. It
Yes.
it it speaks of trying to move forward or actually moving forward, but the stress and the
Yes.
toil
Yes.
um, in that process. Um, okay. Do
Yes.
you
And
have more?
the other word that comes to mind to me is perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's all along the same framework is I don't know why we think that we need to be perfect because what does I am the perfect me.
Exactly.
The only time I'm not perfect is if I try to be you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so we try to fit in and we try to not be us and we try to do what everybody wants when I can be perfect.
Right.
But the idea of perfection is that I'm never enough. I'm never good
Mm-hmm.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't allow, it is focused on what I'm doing, not who I am or who
Yeah.
I'm being. And so learning to be able to, those are some things that took years to be able to figure out how to let go of the constant striving,
Yeah.
the driven feeling. I've got to,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. So
Wow.
anyway,
It makes me reflect on so much because I've been there, done that. And by the way, the second part of the question, I'm glad we both say, of course, but I'm not sure everyone has has realized that yet.
yes,
um, of course, your past is giving shape to who you are today, whether negatively or positively. But I think some people go through life without connecting all of those dots. And you can benefit if it's a good thing, but you suffer if it's a bad thing and you're not realizing what's driving you, what's causing you to strive in these negative ways.
mhm,
Um, and I have to admit, um, I went quite a few years with certain things driving me, and I just wasn't aware that the
absolutely.
source
I
of
wasn't aware either.
right.
Absolutely.
The source of it was actually a
Mhm.
negative place. So I was operating from a place of fear and didn't even realize that a lot of my achievements were even attached to my fear.
Absolutely.
So it's life is an interesting thing. But I love having these conversations with people like you because we get to kind of, unpack or peel back the onion and maybe our words are helping other people piece it together if they haven't or in certain areas where maybe they haven't. Okay. So during the previous conversation you told me that you once had an internal pressure to prove other people wrong. I know we probably tarried in that area a little bit, but this is slightly different. So I'd like to have you expound on that. And how did that pressure serve you positively, if it did, and or negatively?
For those of you who haven't followed my story or have met me before, I became a mother at the age of 15
Mm-hmm,
and it wasn't consensual.
mm-hmm,
And the decade, if you will, that this occurred in society, it didn't matter in my sphere why you were pregnant. It just wasn't okay. And so there was shame and hiding and of course anger and frustration. And I am going to be a mother, at 15,
mm-hmm,
um, and fear and all of those kind of feelings. Um, and so that's where that feeling of I'm going to, because the predictions for my future were not vibrant.
right.
And so I began to say, I am not going to, that's not who I am. I'm not going to be that.
Mm-hmm,
I'm not going to fulfill those awful prophecies, if you will, those predictions. I'm going to be who God created me to be, and I'm going to prove them wrong. Um, so it did serve me. Um, I don't feel like that anymore.
mm-hmm,
Uh, in the essence, it gave that young girl the fight
mm-hmm.
that I think she needed to fight through those emotions and feelings, to not hide in a corner and just cry.
Right.
Um, which I had those days too.
Yeah.
To say that it was hard, I have not yet discovered adjectives that can describe the overwhelming emotions and feelings that were associated to that period in my life. So to me today, proving somebody wrong gives them too much power over my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to let that go and began as I got older and began to focus on who God said I was and who I wanted to be, as opposed to not being something.
Right.
And so it did serve me to help me through that period, but it's not something that I feel today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, it's so interesting how people label us. And maybe at some point in life, we got caught up in labeling others. But,
And ourselves.
and yes, and ourselves. I'm
Mhm.
glad you pointed that out. Um, but you know what really gets me when I think about all that now is, man, now we look at your story. All these people were telling you this stuff, and it wasn't true. It was a lie. And
Mhm.
how many people give in to the lie? And I think we have to ask ourselves, um, you know, give yourself a chance. Do you want to live your life and then look back when you're in your rocking chair and say, what if it would have been different? What if it could have been different? And I just believe the voices around me. Now, when you're young, though, it's kind of hard to not listen to those voices around you. You think they really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, so, man, that's one of the worst things in the world, though, for a young person to have those voices around them that is not telling them who they can be, or at least giving them support to guide them into who they are becoming or want to be.
And
Uh,
it was all my internal voices too, all those fears of
mhm,
failing. We're talking about the failing thing, right?
yeah.
And so, what if I am a horrible mother? What if I didn't know what I was doing?
Mhm.
But it's just like, what ifs, all those what ifs. And so I think sometimes our own internal fears are worse
Mhm.
I did have a couple people that gave me hope,
Mhm.
but it was a lot of silence. And
Yes.
silence can mean whatever we interpret it to mean.
Yeah.
We don't even know what silence means. And so learning how to um, deal with all of those fears, because I talked about that cauldron of emotions, it's like boiling on the inside, and you're like, I don't know how to make sense of all of this. And
Sure.
there's something about the teenage years, if you remember, it's the end of the world for, everything. You feel it to the like millionth degree.
Were
Everything is
yours just
intensified.
the teenage years? Mine kind of ran into the 20s too.
Yeah. And so, it's like you already have strong emotions and then
Uh-huh.
you mix in that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just other people,
Mhm.
it's what's going on the inside,
Right.
that is also affecting that whole picture of, I'm going to prove all those inner voices wrong too.
Mhm.
That the the saving thing for me was not the people around me, even though I had a place to live and I had a crib and I had all the things I needed physically. But the thing that brought me through emotionally as a young woman at the age of 12, I had an encounter with God.
Mhm.
And I began to know him in a way that wasn't religious.
Mhm.
And religion to me is about rules.
Mhm.
And it wasn't about rules. It was of just a desperation. And this has also happened to me in the days before our cell phones. There was no
You
internet.
you had
Um,
what people often call a personal relationship with God.
Personal, yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, I can relate to that as well. Um, and even the inner negative talk. I had quite
Hmm.
a lot of that. And at this age, I can connect it back to, I agree with you. It's not necessarily always stemming from outside voices, but I had bad things happen to me at a young age that I think triggered a, I'm going to call it almost not, it's not my natural reaction, but my automatic reaction would be negative. So I had a lot of negative self talk, that I think was beyond the average person. And it took me
Yeah.
years to connect it back
Yeah.
to the
What
previous
happened to you?
pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our brain is predisposed to identify danger,
Hmm.
and it tries to avoid danger. And so we have to look for the positive on purpose.
Yes.
But our brain is predisposed to, this could be danger. You could fail here. You could get hurt here, all of the things. And yes, we all have that negative, if you will, trying to keep you safe voice. It
Hmm.
goes a little crazy sometimes, but but it can get way, if you go down that vein, it just seems to feed it, and it just is really, really big. So
Hard to jump off that ride.
it is hard to jump off that ride when you're getting seasick and I'm sick at your stomach and the whole thing.
Yeah. I love our analogies. Okay. So you speak of yourself as being a messenger of hope. And you said people should heal from the past without comparing. I'm paraphrasing your words a bit so you can clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
And just be free to be themselves, or just free to be me. So elaborate on those ideas.
Uh, I am a messenger of hope, uh, just by being who I am and bringing that. But one of the things I am able to do is help people in their individual situations
Mhm.
to see what it could be instead of what they fear.
Mm.
And learning to be able to heal from their past, as we've already talked about, is directly correlated with living vibrantly and to being able to excel in life. So that's, sometimes we say these almost cliches. You need to heal from your past.
Mhm.
Well, what does that mean,
Yeah.
right? It's like, how do you do that?
Uh-huh.
When I'm all this, snowball of all these emotions and all these negative talk and all of this going on. And Donna, you're just saying, heal from your past. Like it's this, flip, switch you flip. Couldn't get that one out. And learning to be able to I specialize in helping people walk through the process of really healing, because people can be in counseling for decades
Mhm.
and still be dealing with it. And so I call it turning my baggage into luggage
Mm.
so we can live the life we've dreamed. And so helping people to walk through that process, it isn't hard when you know the steps to take to be able to do that. So, um, and
Wonderful.
just and we talked about, you mentioned comparing, and
Mhm.
one of the analogies I love. So I'll ask you, Pam, if you were to pick a flower, what would you be today?
Oh, wow. My mind just in a flash went from rose to tulip. I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, just pick one. There's no wrong
I
answer.
guess I'll go with tulip.
Okay. And I'm going to be a peony.
Mm.
All right. So we're completely different.
Hmm.
A peony's all fluffy and got rough edges and and bigger and all of that. And a tulip is proportioned and delicate and even.
Hmm.
Now, if I thought I was supposed to be a tulip, I'd be clipping all my edges, trying to, make everything smooth. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of just out there.
Hmm.
And if you were trying to be a peony, you're trying to figure out do you see what that comparison
Yeah.
does?
Yeah.
It's like, you just need to be Pamela.
Yes.
And I need to be Donna. And it's
Right.
only when I try to be something else that I compare what I think I should be or what you are to me, and then we end up not living vibrantly. We end up miserable, trying to conform to somebody else's idea or opinion, and that's not hope.
Right. So I look at myself as I think I'm at a place in my life where that's exactly what I am seeking to be, the best Pamela I can be.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, there is still an idea that I need to improve, even as Pamela. Not trying to be like Donna, but when I look at Pamela and I embrace all who she is, the good, bad, and the ugly, when I look at the bad or the ugly, in my own opinion, it's bad or ugly. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
short with that person. I'm not proud about that.
Mm-hmm.
I do self talk to say, if I have an opportunity, I go ahead and apologize. But then I do self talk and I say, okay, what space are you in? Why were you like that? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
try to do better. When you're feeling agitated or you're feeling whatever in a rush or whatever, try not to let that happen. And that's not comparing me to somebody else, but that's I guess it is comparing me to the idea of the me I want to maintain, the me that I see myself as. um, to me, that part of me is the not really me. You that just jumped out, or maybe it's a part of me, but it's a part of me that um, I don't want to dominate. So.
Yeah. One of the uh, takeaways that I hope people could take is what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Is so many times we look at the way our emotions reacted in any situation. You snapped at that person or something like that. And we often think that our emotions equal truth or it equals my
Mm-hmm.
identity completely. And we are bigger than our emotions. Emotions is something I have, not who I am.
Right.
But one of the keys that's really revolutionized mine and thousands of clients' life is emotions actually are indicators of what you're believing at that particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be I'm believing I snapped at the person in line ahead of me because I'm not going to have enough time and I'm not going to get all my stuff done and you're not going fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be, I am afraid of rejection and I'm going to snap at you first. Or what it could be all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you take a moment in that self-discovery place after you apologize for snapping at them, you take that moment and go, what was I believing?
Mm-hmm.
What was I focused on? And it isn't, we focus so much on changing the behavior that we
Mm-hmm.
don't often deal with what I was believing that caused
Mm-hmm.
the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And when I can begin to do that, then real transformation begins to occur
Right.
because I'm believing I'm not going to have enough time and I'm afraid of failing.
Mm-hmm.
Could be that next thought.
Yeah.
And it's going back to all that. Well, so what would happen if I didn't get all the things done?
Right.
And realize that I'm afraid of failing again or messing up or letting somebody down or all of the things. We're using something really simple, but
Yeah.
this can go really uh,
Deep.
deep on the way that we engage with people and ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we take it past the behavior and we just try to keep changing our behavior,
Yeah. I like that.
we'll
I
keep
like the
working
way.
on that, but it never really gets to the root. And the other thing I ask is God. It's like, okay, so anything I should see? Because we don't see our blind
Mhm.
spots. It's like, what
Yeah.
am I believing in here?
True.
What is going on? And you can't do that every moment, but have that in your quiet time
True.
where you're going deeper on what we're believing. Um, and you get a surprise bill
Mm-hmm.
and you have a negative reaction or you snap at your children
Yeah.
And had, Mom, can I have another cookie? What do you think? We're made of money. Go play.
Uh-huh.
And so it had nothing to do with the cookie.
Yeah.
It had to do with this bill. And now I'm afraid we're not going to have enough money. And all right, am I trusting God or am I in fear? Do you see what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, so our
I like the
behavior
way
goes back to belief.
I like the way you brought in the idea that your emotions is different from you, from who you are. That statement was very important for me to hear in this conversation. Like a light bulb went off when you said it that way. Um, so I can deal with the emotions, but it's not defining who I am as a person. And then I have to
Absolutely.
peel back and see what was I feeling or thinking in that moment that caused that reaction. And that's where the work is happening. But
Right.
it's not necessarily, oh, now I'm going to just totally flip the switch and say, you're such a bad person, Pamela, overall.
Right.
I had a bad moment, and we have to give
That's right.
ourselves grace to not, like the beginning of our conversation, not be perfect.
Right.
I also like that you shared that one of the things you do during your time of reflection is to ask God. I do that as well, and to me, it's a type of accountability and safeguard. And but I also like to ask a trusted person on the outside of myself too. um, because I think sometimes there's just things you don't see about yourself. And
That's why I have a coach.
yeah.
We don't see our blind spots all the time. And
Right.
so, yes, other people speaking into our lives that are a safe place
Hmm.
are very important.
Yes. So, what do you know that can be a bridge to help someone get to their next level of best regarding this topic?
Mm, kindness to yourself is a big thing. Being kind during this process. Because the me snapping at a person, I could turn around and go, "What's the matter with you, Donna?" And
Mhm.
totally. So being kind to ourselves. Another thing is no matter what you're facing, because we all have obstacles and challenge and disappointment in our life, is begin to look for the gift, the things we can learn
I love, yeah.
as we go through it.
Hmm.
Um, and instead of building a camp
Yeah.
and camping out with my pity party that this is bad or worse, or it might not be a pity party. I mean, we might be sick, we might be really struggling. There's all kinds of things, but I'm looking to move through it,
Yeah.
not stay here. So if your life was a book, that this is a paragraph, a page, perhaps a chapter, but not your whole life. And you begin to say, what am I going to learn? When I was 15, it felt like it would be forever. It's
Mhm.
like, this is going to be hard for the rest of my life. And then we get into situations and it feels this overwhelming feeling like this is going to go on forever. When is this going to be over? And all of those things.
We were
And so
some sort of twins at that point in our lives. I
when
can relate. I mean, like I can finish your sentences.
Yeah. So the big thing is to keep a bigger picture, to look down the road, not let this be your whole thing, and look for what you can learn
Yeah.
through it all. When I just switch my perspective to this is horrible to what can I learn, I see things that I wouldn't see before.
Yeah.
It's
So
changing my perspective, it's changing where I'm looking, it's what I am expecting in my life,
yeah. I love
just
that
by
word.
asking that.
I love that word expecting. I've had that type of epiphany, I'll call it, also, where I shifted. And I gotta say, it's in fairly recent years. I realized that I went through life thinking bad things shouldn't happen. I know that sounds crazy, but I think a lot of people do that. And I think that's why we're so shocked when it does. We're angry when it does. Why me? I realize if I just change the way I think about challenging times, and know that challenging times is also a part of life, just like all. I look forward to the wonderful things and
Mhm.
see that even challenging times is a teacher. Um, and we can glean something from it, and we're made. I I can honestly say that most of the progress that I've made in terms of us becoming wiser actually came from the challenging times.
Yeah.
So at this point in my life, I can honor the fact that I had to go through it, I did go through it, or however we want to phrase it, because I like the things that I learned
Yeah.
in retrospect. When I, well, yes, when you're young, oh my God, I was having a tantrum.
Well,
What?
the other thing is what we make those hard times mean.
Hmm.
I've been a good person. Why is this
Yeah.
happening to me? Or, um, you know, feeling shame or blame, or we want to blame somebody, or all those things when uh, none of that helps us move forward. That keeps us in baggage thinking
Yeah.
instead of luggage thinking. So,
Well, that's a good segue because my next question is, you speak of turning your baggage into your luggage. And again, I know you touched on that a bit earlier, but I'd love you to just expound all you want right here. Please share in detail
oh,
what you mean. And I know you have a few principles that you share, so just go for it.
okay.
Mhm.
Um, First of all, what's baggage?
Mm.
And even in that, I have people compare. Well, I don't have it as bad as so and so, or I had it worse than so and
Mhm.
so. Doesn't matter. Baggage is pain,
Yes,
just in a nutshell.
baggage is
It's
pain.
anytime we have experienced pain and it hurts, and we've had disappointment, things didn't go like we thought. All of that stuff, and that can be what we might categorize as big things and little things and severe things. It doesn't matter. It just hurts.
Mhm.
And we would have used words like, this is not right. Why did this happen? This is not fair. This is not just.
Mhm.
Um, Somebody should pay, is even some of the baggage thought.
Yeah.
And so all of those things I did as a teenager. I thought all those stuff.
Mhm.
And so that's baggage. Luggage thinking is coming from the place is I am going to use this to grow and become the best me I can be. And some of the keys I've already shared in our conversation, looking for the gift in the adversity,
Mhm.
learning how to look for support, to keep a bigger picture in mind. I use the analogy with my clients that if you were going to take a road trip and you continued only to look out of your rear view mirror,
Mm.
would you get very far down the road?
Wow.
And you wouldn't. And
Mhm.
so we have to be able to look forward, that where this is, where do I want to go, instead of what was or
Right.
what should have been.
Mhm.
All of those things. And so releasing, learning how to surrender, learning how to have compassion for yourself and others, which involves forgiveness. And we could do a whole episode on that one. Um, but forgiveness is a key. There is so many things that forgiveness isn't, that people think it is,
Mhm.
and is things that people don't realize. And so, and other is, we also try to DIY it. When you're injured, you have an automatic response to put up a wall,
Mhm.
some type of protection, and we could isolate physically, or I still probably have a cave on the inside of me that I used to withdraw to.
Mhm.
And I've got this wall, and you can't get through it.
Yeah.
That's all, of course, a fantasy, but that's the way it feels.
Mhm.
In isolation, so being alone in a crowd of people,
Mhm.
all of those feelings, and I don't ask for help because I'm embarrassed or whatever reason. And so knowing how to take all of these different pieces that I've shared in 5 minutes and help people walk through them, and going from low self-esteem to confidence, to go from depression to joy, from fear to hope and expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that is possible when you walk through these steps to be able to actually process the disappointment and be able to move forward and have a vibrant life anyway.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. And I like the way you phrase it too, turning your baggage into luggage. Um, I don't know. I think of baggage as beat up, run down, maybe not
Mhm.
even of very much value. But when I think of luggage,
Mhm.
I think of something cleaned up,
Mhm.
durable, and images like that come to mind. And I'm a pictures person. I'm very
Mhm.
visual. So anything that helps me see it in my head and in my
Yeah.
mind uh, helps to teach me.
And luggage is clean and all that. And I've got my sun hat on and my sunglasses and I'm going.
On vacation or something. We're in a better place.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Instead of baggage, hauling something around that you
Hmm.
don't really want to be carrying.
Ball and chain tied to my ankle.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, that journey from low self-esteem to confidence. When I was listening to you, it also brought to mind the whole comparison thing again. Because
Mhm.
sometimes we make up these lies inside. We don't even know the
Yeah.
things that other people are wrestling with that sometimes
Right.
can be worse than what we're facing. And we're like, woe is me. Everybody has, it going on, but I'm stuck. My life is horrible. It is you got caught into that comparison thing, and oftentimes those comparisons are actually rooted in lies. You're just creating these fantasies for yourself because you don't actually know.
Especially on social media, because we show
Oh.
everybody I saw a picture where a woman was doing some type of photo shoot. She took a picture of her couch and how
Mhm,
beautiful it looked, and she had, something that she was selling. And
mhm.
then she panned the camera and there was toys everywhere and laundry needed to be folded, but just that one spot was what went on, so it was supposed to go on social media. And
Right.
that's what we do, is like we just show our perfect self,
Yeah,
but all of us have dirty dishes in the sink and bathrooms that need to be cleaned and dirty laundry, and all of us have those kind of
so
things.
true.
And so cobwebs in the corner and all that stuff. uh,
Nobody's going on social media showing you their ugly cry.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we do the comparison, especially with social media, we're comparing what looks perfect on the outside,
Mhm,
and you have no idea the pain that people are going through on the inside. So, first of all, just focus on you
mhm,
and learn how to be the best you can be. You shine brighter, you make the world a better place. And that comparison, my real small statement is comparison kills. It
yeah.
never brings life. It
Mhm.
never brings life.
Very good. Okay. You got a lot of these Donna isms. That's great. All right. So which one final gem, and I ask all of my guests this question,
Mhm.
can you leave with the audience today the single most important idea shared that if people don't remember anything else, you want them to really hold on to this?
Well, from our conversation today, what's really coming to my heart is wherever you find yourself,
Mhm.
wherever you find yourself without comparison to anyone else, ask yourself this question: am I living as vibrantly as I could? Is there something more that you want for your life? And if the answer is yes, take one small action today to move forward. Getting support, getting help, getting information. That's one of the things about today's world, is there's so much knowledge.
Right.
There's so much knowledge. You have self-help books and podcasts and videos and all of the things that are available, webinars but wisdom that's curated especially for you is what's missing. We don't know how to appropriate, and I can't eat that whole elephant. How do I take a bite to begin to live vibrantly in all that you can be? So be courageous today. You could schedule a call with me. That's one option. It is absolutely free. And we'll find the resources that you need so that you can live vibrantly. And be courageous. That's my takeaway today is what is one step I can do to be the best me I can be?
Wonderful. So this is the point in the show where I ask you to share any information you would like to share about how my audience might contact you, get your books, etc. Go ahead and share that information for those who would want to reach out to you.
My website is the letter I, vibrantliving.com. And there are free resources available. There is also a schedule online tab where you could schedule that free call I was talking about. There's a free ebook on the homepage. There's a lot of resources. My podcast is there, my blog. You can check it out and go explore, spend a little time finding inspiration so that you can live vibrantly. It is all there for you.
That's great. Thanks so much. And, I want to go back just a little bit to the vibrant word. We know what vibrant means, but how would you define it in terms of what you do?
How Vibrant Living's name came about is another story, but probably for another day. But vibrant is sunny and exuberant and full of life, zestful, hopeful, authentic. It is hope and faith. And that person at a dance that gets let loose on the dance floor and doesn't care? That's vibrant. That's an image for you. It's and you may not be on the dance floor, but wherever you are.
Yeah.
When it gets to the end of your life and you have those opportunities, I want you to dance. I want you to sing your song. I want you to do whatever it is that your gifts are, to be authentically a tulip or a peony, whatever that looks like, and you've probably heard this story. This is coming to mind as an example of the difference between vibrancy and not, with baggage to luggage. And somebody did this from a stage when they were doing a live thing, and they took a $20 bill and said, I have this $20 bill. Does anybody here want it? I think they'd say 100 today with the way things have changed. But anybody want this? I've got my hand up. Anybody want this $100? And of course, everybody raises their hands. So he goes, okay, hang on a second. So then he stomps on it, puts something yucky on it, wrinkles it all up, makes a mess of it, tears it a little bit. And he says, does anybody still want it? And people still raise their hands. He says, well, but why? Did what happened to it change its value? And it didn't change yours either.
Right. That's beautiful.
And so what happened to you didn't change your value. But we have to learn how to clean off the stuff so that we can fully shine. But we often define ourselves by what's happened to us instead of who we really are.
That's a beautiful way to end this episode. I am so pleased and happy that you were willing to come on and join us today. And I feel 100% sure that people are going to glean great stuff from this conversation. Thank you so much, Donna. And
my pleasure.
Happy Mother's Day. And
you too, Pamela.
And I really hope that people reach out and go to your website, and we will also share that stuff in the footnotes so people can get in touch with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.